Do you remember this movie?
Yeah.
This past fall, 2022. Very modest movie. Made on a very modest budget. Made by a pretty small indie studio. And the movie was called Black Adam. And famously, Black Adam.
I think I remember seeing that at the art house for like a week.
Yeah. Interesting movie.
You know,
it was such a weird career change for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to do an art house movie called Black Adam.
It was one of those movie theaters where you could get beer. Like just art.
I feel like you can get them in like every movie theater.
Here's why that joke doesn't make any sense anymore. Ever since like what is it, Flicks? Like those brew houses.
Yeah.
Like now it's commonplace.
Alamo Draft House.
Now it's commonplace, but back in the day, the Fleur Cinema, which is making a comeback, which is awesome. But the Fleur, the whatever.
Yeah, just stop saying it like I know. Remember? No,
it's the art house movie. It's the movie art whatever.
Sure.
Art house movie
like
theater
an indie,
in Des Moines or whatever. And it's that back in the day, that was one way you could tell is it an indie movie theater. They serve beer.
Anyway,
that's where I saw that weird Black Adam movie.
The Black Adam had the biggest opening for The Rock's career. It made it made some money, but it didn't. You know, it wasn't a huge box office.
It was supposed to be
hit.
a tentpole, dude.
It was supposed to make a lot more money than it did, especially given DC's
last year, right?
Last October, yeah.
Yeah.
So, especially given DC's current. Yeah, it was October. Was it 21 or 22?
It was last year because Shazam was this year,
right?
And it was like 6 months later.
Especially given how Shazam 2 and The Flash have performed, and how Blue Beetle is not going to do well. This is the last like decent amount of money made on a movie for DC. But still, they decided to go in a different direction. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
So The Rock was on Kevin Hart's Peacock talk show, Heart to Heart.
Oh no,
not a bad show, honestly.
So I wasn't saying that. I was saying, is he talking shit?
No, I think he has an interesting response. So Kevin brought it up, asked him, what happened with Black Adam, and here's a few clips. Here's the first one from The Rock.
I think that Black Adam got caught in a vortex of new leadership. And at that time, as we were creating Black Adam, developing it, shooting Black Adam, we got knocked down a little bit because of COVID and the shutdowns, got back up. There was so many changes in leadership. And as you know, anytime you have a company, but especially that size and magnitude, that's a publicly traded company, and you have all those changes in leadership, you have people coming in who creatively, fiscally are going to make decisions that you may not agree with philosophically. So I think Black Adam was one of those movies that got caught in that web of new leadership. And, that will always be one of the biggest mysteries, I think, not only for me and us on our end, but also throughout our business.
So, honestly, not a bad response. I do think... Fair. I think what he's saying has some truth. I think with the because I don't remember, it was around this time that they announced James Gunn was taking over and creating DC Studios. It was around this because it was.
Well, no, think about it like
close
this.
To this time.
Think about it like this. He's starting with this movie, and again, for some reason, it was his idea not to be associated with Shazam, right?
Yeah.
So right off the bat, you're wrong, okay? So right off the bat, your project, sorry. But then you have somebody who's in charge of the DC thing, not James Gunn, telling you this is this and this and this and this. So acting like a Kevin Feige. So saying like you have to.
Yeah, there's no figurehead to.
But there is somebody who's saying like you have to have these things in it to fit into the larger narrative, right?
Yeah.
Because they're still trying, right?
I mean, most of it would be.
So they write a script and start doing shots and test shots and doing all the stuff and storyboard, and they start go through the process, and then maybe James Gunn comes in and goes, "Hey, if you want to be a part of the larger thing, just right off the bat, you got to change this, and this." So. Yeah, that's probably really confusing and also doesn't make a good product. So we kid. Well, I'm talking like we know him.
Listen, Dwayne, we're sorry.
We kid you, Dwayne. No, but we do take shots at Dwayne The Rock Johnson because honestly, like,
well, we're still going to.
Yeah,
Because you haven't heard everything he has to say.
Oh.
I think for the most part, he's very humble about the experience, and I think he's
he kind of should be. Is what I'm saying.
And I do think that this did hurt his ego a little bit because he thought he had enough star power that he could lead a Black Adam movie, which is like, again, how are you going to do an evil Shazam movie without Shazam being in it? But whatever. He continues.
Oh no! See, I should have waited.
It's because that's a Kevin question. But that was a question out of Wall Street. That was a question out of Hollywood. That was a question like, wait a second.
All right, okay.
You had the biggest opening of your career. Sure, no China. That could have been maybe 100, maybe 200 more $1 million. You're establishing a new superhero. You want to grow out the franchise. You bring back Superman and Henry Cavill. The world went crazy. And also, too, and you were texting me this on opening weekend, is we created a diverse superhero portfolio where we had just men and women of color, in Black Adam too as well. So
I will say, I will give him credit. He is right. The Black Adam does have a pretty diverse cast. But this is, so I have feelings about this. On one hand, again, I think he has a point. I think that he is being humble about the situation, but then he has to slip his ego back in a little bit because then he then he says, like, you asked that question, Kevin, but I thought Hollywood was asking that question. Wall Street was asking that question. Like, hey, this movie made all this money. Yeah, no China. That would have been a couple $200 million or whatever. But, like, he still has to, like, have a... And
why didn't they get China again?
I don't remember. Because China was still, I think in that time, was still doing, like, different COVID lockdowns or something like that. And they allowed so many movies to come in and only they could only go to so many... So
I don't fucking know.
There was some reasoning for
bullshit.
Because
there was some bullshit. Yeah. Fucking whatever, man.
And I said, what? That's what The Rock said when they said no Shazam.
What?
Or no Black Adam 2.
What?
He looked at him and said, what?
And there was that weird music behind him.
Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah.
And for some reason, right when he said the word what, there was that weird music behind him. Doom, doom.
And then they ran away. All right, so... Again, I want to be clear. I think most of what The Rock's saying, I do think, because you and I had criticism of him, of how he dealt with, some of the and I don't even think that movie was that much of a failure, to be honest, but how he handled some of the criticism, how he handled some of the box office
I don't really
numbers
remember how it
versus
what
now
happened in it, honestly. I remember...
No, but it's a forgettable movie.
I remember that Atom Smasher kept looking like a fucking doof.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Okay,
and
what
Hawkman
else?
and Black Adam fought a lot. But here's where I'm like, God damn it. Like, come on, man. This is where I'm like, pump the brakes, Dwayne.
Exactly. And, I think as business-minded people who are always, you and I, who are always thinking audience first, yes, we look at and respect the bottom line economically, but also when you think about opportunity and creating opportunity and creating things that are fresh and delivering for the audience, which is our number one boss, when that wasn't looked at through that lens, it makes things a little bit more challenging, I think, for guys like you and I, where you go, you sure you want to do this? But hey, at the end of the day, you know what it is? It's like new ownership coming in, buying an NFL team and going, all right, not my head coach, not my quarterback. Doesn't matter how many times you won the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter how many rings we got.
That's the part that made me laugh.
Yeah.
That's a great example.
That's a great example.
That's great. Yeah, you guys both... Yikes. No,
that point was great until he said the Super Bowl thing. I'm like, dude, it didn't make like a fucking $1 billion. Let's stop asking.
Let's talk about a couple of things. Like, now the Young Rock show, is that
it's canceled?
But is that biographical? Did that all that shit happen or whatever?
Yeah, I mean,
his dad was in the WWE.
Yeah, he's a second generation wrestler.
Okay.
Well, his dad and his grandpa were wrestlers.
But Kevin Hart had to kind of come from his own, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't. So, I mean, I respect Kevin Hart being the kind of guy who's like, hey, you got to keep the positivity, and things like that, because it probably helped him get to where he is, and, hard work and all that stuff. But Dwayne, and that's fine that you are like, I worked hard, and he did. I'm not saying he didn't work hard. I'm not saying that. But there's a lot of problems out there, guys. Like that are way worse than you guys not having a great box.
Yeah, you don't
office
getting
for
another Black Adam movie.
Yeah.
And no, and
I'm pretty sure there's
again,
at least 10 kids within a mile radius of here that haven't eaten properly.
Why do you got to do that?
Because it's probably the truth.
I mean, it is
We're
true.
in Iowa.
It is true, but it's like, come on, man.
We should kick
Trying to have a fun fucking show.
No, but I mean, no.
I want to make it clear.
Okay.
I liked him when he was The Rock. I like him now. I don't have any problem. I think he's
very likable, and it's hard.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, I don't.
But like
not
sometimes
like him.
his ego.
Yes.
Like this movie really took an ego, hit. But the problem I have with that example, which I think was good until he said, "Doesn't matter how many Super Bowls you won." That's where I was like, again, it's his ego being like, dude, again, you're.
I don't
he
know
has
if
a
I've
great
ever
attitude.
seen a Dwayne the Rock Johnson movie.
You saw Black Adam.
That's true. But before that,
but I do think he's right.
Name some of his.
I think a couple of factors worked against this movie. Like we said, it's a Shazam villain without Shazam.
Yeah.
The Rock, despite his charisma, I think people don't view him as a movie star as much as just another. He's a brand. He's got that energy drink. He's got his tequila. He's got all this other stuff.
If you're
his production company.
If you're trying to do like a brand like with The Rock, like Black Adam doesn't fit it at all. Like if he's trying to do the brand that I think he is, that doesn't fit it at all. Like especially because it wasn't really an anti. I don't remember what
it didn't. That didn't happen until like
I don't remember what happened in the movie.
The Black Adam like redemption stuff didn't happen until later, like that, like in his lore. Like that didn't come in until 52 and the new the 52 event, and then the new 52 is where they kind of started turning him more into an anti-hero.
They made him more of an anti-hero, but they also made him way more violent and vicious, which is weird.
Well, then he had Isis and Osiris as like his Black Adam family. Remember
that? What happened? No, I didn't read the new 52.
I want to keep in mind that Isis was before the
terrorist
organization.
No, there was a Saturday morning cartoon show that we watched called Isis and the
Archer.
Something.
The agency was called Isis, and they had to change it.
What did they change it to? No, that's why they went to the CIA and stuff.
All right.
And they changed it to buttholes. Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.